What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Way here. So you see all these new components and you want to get in the PC building. However, your wallet is saying you can't do but so much. So you research a lot of budget builds, but it's just too much out there right now. Well, in this video, I'm going to help you make the best choices on a brand new gaming PC.
Now turn up.
I get asked all the time, what's the best budget build that I can get? Of course, this question is subjective, but there are so many factors that come into play. So I usually ask some follow-up questions. What are you planning to do? Do you already have parts? And most importantly, what is your budget? When people reply back with things like, I want to play at ultra settings and I don't have any parts, but I only have $400. Can it work? I look at them like they're crazy. Don't get me wrong, it is possible to build that type of PC. However, you gotta understand something. You're gonna sacrifice used parts, which means no warranty, and no true guarantee on how long your parts will last. I have nothing against secondhand parts. If you wanna build a $250 gaming PC with an Ultiplex 990, go for it. But my philosophy is, you want to try to get as much as new parts as possible in order to get that warranty. I also tell them that ultra settings isn't what it's cracked up to be. If you're on a budget, then most likely you aren't going to have the best monitor. So at the end of the day, why step down? So as I said earlier, budget is important. What are you willing to spend? If you're saying, I want the cheapest possible, that's a bad road to go down. For one, you're looking for the cheapest part, but you're neglecting quality. You don't need the top of the line components in order to have the decent quality. Once you establish the budget, it's time to move on to my favorite step, part selection. This goes back to, what do you plan on doing? You have to be real with yourself. Are you seriously going to play Battlefield 1 on ultra settings in 4K? Do you even need that? Get the parts that fits not only your budget, but what's really right for you. If you can't afford an i7 7700K and a GTX 1080 Ti, then don't get one and slip on the other. As of this recording, graphic cards are still overpriced thanks to mining. If you're spending more than $275 on a GTX 1060 6GB or RX 580 8GB, you're overspending. If you want to do that, be my guest, but you're just throwing money away. If you don't mind lowering your settings, getting a GTX 1050 Ti for under $150 is probably your best bet. Also, you can wait for RX Vega to be released. This could possibly cause competition with Nvidia and have the prices lowered. As far as the CPU, it's simple. What do you plan on doing? Notice a trend here? Are you purely gaming and don't care about anything else? If so, I'll go for the GeForce 60. It was $60, but Intel feels like it's not worth it. Wait, what? And then they're going to be discontinuing it soon. However, as of this recording, it can be bought for $80 on B&H with free shipping. It should be noted that this is the most powerful chip, but it does kick a punch. If you have a bit more money, skip the i3 and i5, go straight to the i7 7700K. In fact, it doesn't even have to be unlocked. As long as you have those 8 threads, you're good to go. And I can hear the comments now. Ryzen is better. What's wrong with you? I get it. Ryzen is the better value. But if you're purely gaming, you'll get better results with the 7700K, hands down. Now, if you're doing more than gaming like editing, streaming, rendering, and other tasks, then Ryzen is better for you as those extra cores and threads will help you get over. Again, it truly depends on what you're trying to do. If you're gonna go with the GeForce 60 or the i7 7700 or the Ryzen 5 1600, the good news is you don't have to worry about a cooler because those box coolers are more than enough than what you need to do, especially since you can't overclock. What's up with Ryzen? Now that we have a nice CPU and a GPU, that's probably going to be the bulk of our money. At this point, you have about $270 to spend out of a $500 budget, considering you went with a 1050 Ti and a G4560. Next important thing is the motherboard. I think this question gets too much thought put into it. Unless you need a lot of I/O ports, you want to overclock, or you want that RGB bling, there's no point in getting a high-end motherboard, especially with a locked processor. Going with the G4560, you'll be just fine with a B250 motherboard, around $70. If you do plan on overclocking, get a Z270 for Intel or B350 for AMD, and you'll be just fine. You could worry about power phasers for overclocking, but that's another video. Now I know you hear about this X299 board, and is it right for gaming? Honestly, no. Now don't get me wrong, those 10 cores are definitely powerful, but you're just wasting money if you're only gaming. Not to mention, Threadripper is coming out in August, I believe, but the price is $1,000, which totally blows our budget, so I'm not even gonna focus on that right now. If you got the cheapo motherboard, you're standing at $200 for memory, hard drive, a case, and power supply. For memory, 8 gigabytes is the bare minimum. Anything below is just a waste. However, as for gaming, 8 gigabytes is truly all you need. As of this recording, $55 will get you a single 8 gigabyte of memory stick. Now I know you heard that you should get dual channel, so 4 gigabytes or 2 sticks of 4 gigabytes. However, you're barely seeing impact with 1 stick versus 2 stick, especially for gaming. You may net maybe around 1 or 2 frames per second, but nothing really extraordinary. And the reason I say get 1 stick, because maybe in the future you want to upgrade to another 8 gigabytes, so that way you have 16 gigabytes and you don't have a waste. And you don't have to worry about fast around, because if you're only getting a B250 motherboard, it's going to be locked down to 2133 megahertz anyways, and you cannot increase it. Even if you went with a Corsair LPS 3200 megahertz 8 gigabyte sticks around, it's just not going to work. As for storage, there should be no question. The Western Digital 1 terabyte blue hard drive is the king of budget builds right now. It should hold plenty of games. Now, I know you heard of an SSD and it's supposed to make everything better and faster, and I get it, and it does. However, let me just go on the record and say this. SSDs do not improve gameplay, only loading times. Okay, I'm going to repeat. SSDs do not improve gameplay. All right, now if you can wait 10 to 20 seconds to load a game, then go ahead and get the 1 terabyte hard drive. However, if you just can't wait, then go ahead and go with the SSD. But 1700 RPM hard drives are not bad at all. I mean, when you first put your PC together, most likely you're gonna load up Windows in 15 seconds, which isn't bad if you ask me. However, if you do get an SSD, I recommend nothing less than 250 gigabytes. And please don't just get an SSD. If you're thinking about one or the other, go with the 1 terabyte hard drive and go for that capacity. And then later down the line, upgrade to an SSD. Now we have $95 for a case and power supply. Getting a power supply is always hard for people. Everyone thinks that the higher the wattage, the better the quality. And while this is true, it's not really necessary. And that is wrong. With this build, a nice 450 watt unit should be just fine. In fact, a CX450M is only $35 after rebate. It's also semi-modular, which means some cables are not going to be attached to the power supply. So this makes cable management so much easier. The only cables that's already attached is the motherboard and CPU, which are needed to power the computer in the first place, so it doesn't really make sense to not have those. Now, if you plan on adding another GPU in the future, then you can jump up to a 650 watts like the Corsair RM650X. But if you're going to add another GPU, you want to bump up the CPU as well. Lastly, you have $60 left to spend on a case. There are plenty of decisions to make here. You don't want a small case, but you don't want something too big. You also want something that can be easily upgraded in the future. And if you're anything like me, you want something that looks nice. And this is where I tip my hat off to the NZXT and the S340 case. I'm not just saying this because I use it, but because it's truly an amazing case and it has great potential. You can even fit a 280mm radiator inside. At this time, it is $60 for the blue and black build. However, the blue parts can be taken off and spray painted, so you're covered there. Well, I hope that works. You spent $495 on brand new parts, you got your warranty, and you got a nice decent build out of it. So you pretty much can play any game at 1080p at nearly 60 frames per second. Now, you're not going to get the ultra settings, but at the end of the day, you're going to play games. And isn't that what really matters? The best thing about PC gaming is that you can upgrade any part at any time, and you'll get the best performance that you want. Remember, just because you're on a budget doesn't mean you need to go cheap. Also, try to avoid getting the previous generation tech. For example, the FS series or something from Ivy or Sandy Bridge. Unless you already have these parts, there's no need to step back in the past. You're only gonna cause frustration down the line. Well, if you like this video, go ahead and give me some thumbs up. If not, give me some thumbs down. As always, subscribe to the channel and let me know what kind of build do you have in the comments below. I'm curious to read them. That's all I got. It's your boy Hooker. I'm out of here. Peace. Don't touch mine.